Hey everybody, welcome on to the studio. Let's make some pots. All right, tonight we're gonna have some fun. It's just gonna be a really informal tutorial. We're gonna use the new Valentine's Underglaze decals from Sanbao Studios. Their website is clayart.com. I wish their website was sanbao.com. I really do, but you know, it's China Clay Art. This is their brochure. They have a ton of products. They have underglaze decals, they have overglaze decals, they have luster decals, they have brushes, and they have other tools. They also are the ones who sell my line of decals, so my cardinals and birches, my buoys, my orchard, my mushrooms, vintage floral, I think. What am I missing? Scandy Birds is on there. Bunch of them. So check out ChinaClayArt.com, not just for your Valentine's underglaze decal needs, right? That sounds all like an infomercial, right? Check them out for all the other cool things they got. So we're going to use those tonight. And then GR Pottery Forms, I love them. Jeff is one of my best friends, at least in my mind, maybe not in his. And he's probably out there with all you other lovely folks in St. George, Utah, or heading that way to ClayCon West. So say hi to Mr. and Mrs. Bott when you get out there. And all the other ClayShare folks who are going to be at ClayCon West. I'm sad I won't be with you this year. I'm going to try to make it to next year's ClayCon West. But GR Pottery Forms is going to be there. Debbie Delacruz is going to be there. Stacy's going to be there. Stacy Quest is going to be out there. Who else is going to be there? Well, we can't forget Drew from Clayscapes Pottery is going to be there. So there's going to be a lot of awesome folks. I think Speedball is going to be there this year. Check that out if you are in St. George, Utah, or if you don't know about it and you're in the vicinity of St. George, Utah, it's not too late. Check out ClayCon West. Anyhow, we're going to use some of the hearts that GR Pottery Forms has. I've got 3 of them. And we're going to make 3 plates. That's my plan. Other ClayShare news, well, the new muffin pan class came out. Yes, right here. I have a class teaching you how to make this 6 muffin pan right here, and then we also have a 4 version. I give you the templates for everything, so you can just go ahead and do it. You don't have to buy any templates, which is very nice. But you do have to be a premium member of ClayShare. So if you haven't signed up yet, go to clayshare.com to do so, or just download the ClayShare app wherever you download your apps, and you can take any of our thousands of classes that we have on there. There's tons. ClayShare, we have a online conference we do every year, and that's ClayShare Con. And that is coming February 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th. So it's an evening program on the 22nd, and all day 23rd, all day 24th, all day 25th. Mark your calendars now, because this year is going to be better than ever. We're giving away a wheel. Wait, sit down. I'm not done. We're giving away a pottery wheel during ClayShare Con. We're also giving away a kiln. Yeah, that's right, a kiln. How fabulous is that? I'll have more info about that coming your way. If you want to get in the game early, go to clayshare.com and sign up for our emails to be eligible for any of our giveaways. That also makes you eligible for the giveaway for the kiln and the wheel. Okie dokie, so that's that business out of the way. Hope everybody's doing well. And so you're watching the muffin pan class right now. Right now! Make this. Yes, you can bake with these. I baked with this the other day. They are made with clay that can go in the oven. I mean, really, any clay can go in the oven. Some clays are just better suited for oven use, and we talk about that in the class. I have many, many baking classes, bakeware classes, I should say. Not baking. I am not I bake, but not for you all. I'm not that good. But I have many classes on making bakeware. You can make bakeware out of hearts. There is no reason not to. You could do it. Each year for ClayShare Con's better than the last. That's our plan. We always try to outdo the previous year. I don't know if I can outdo giving away a kiln and a wheel. That's a lot. Okay, let's go. Let's do stuff. So these decals that I have, there's 2 sheets of conversation hearts. So those are just the little candy hearts that have words like cute and smile and soulmate, miss you, be mine, crazy for you, love you, all that. that we know. And I don't know, does anybody actually like to eat these conversation hearts? Like, the candies are cute. I don't particularly like to eat them, but I like to look at them. And that's good enough for me. And then I've got these black hearts, which you could later add color to them. I also got a sheet of red hearts. So these could be really fun. And then these are cuties right here. These little pooties right here. Aren't they cute? So Cupid are also called pooties, P-U-T-T-I's. If you know your Greek art history and architecture, you would be familiar. So here's a little history lesson. Pootie, P-U-T-T-I, is the name for the little naked babies with wings that you see on Greek buildings and statues and artwork. There you go. Anyhow, we got a sheet of these, and they're naked, but they're cute. So we're gonna stick some on some clay. All right. The candies taste like chalk. Yeah, but they look cute. And you know what? I don't plan to eat them. I plan to just put them on pottery. So let's get some clay out. I am currently working with some Canadian clay. Who's here from Canada? Hi, all my folks in the north. My friends from the Great White North. Some of them, yes, some of you all are south of us. It's true. Our neighbors to the north, because Vermont is connected to Canada. And I have Tucker's Mid-Smooth Stone Speck, and that is a really nice smooth clay that has specks. So it's a white clay with speckles, and it's a cone 5 clay. And I rolled it out to about 3/8 of an inch thick on my slab roller. It has been cold enough in Vermont, despite all our best efforts in insulating and running heat, that my clay froze. So I had to wedge this like crazy because it froze. So I'm working with frozen clay. Just because your clay freezes, it doesn't mean you cannot use it. It just means you have to wedge it a lot more. A lot. All right, so we're going to probably switch to the overhead, and I'm going to pull you all down so you can see what's happening. Get a better view so you all can see. Those candy hearts are a throwback to your childhood, right? You know, I feel like we've all been misled by these at some point or another in our lives, because we saw these little candies in a bowl at like our Grammys or at our aunties, and we were like, ooh, candy, and it's just sitting there in the open. And you go and you eat them, and I think they were just sitting there giggling as, you know, kids are eating the candy and realizing they're really terrible. Now, somebody might like them. So who am I to judge? I'm not judging. I mean, I don't like black licorice, but there's a lot of folks that do. Okay, so I'm smoothing out the clay. And we're just getting rid of any canvas texture that we have on here, because we're going to use these Underglaze decals, also called sometimes Underglaze transfers. And we want to make sure that we don't have an uneven surface to put them on. And because my clay had previously frozen, I'm finding a tiny bit of air pockets here and there, but that's all right. We just smooth it out. It takes care of it. It's not a big deal. So you found Laguna Toki flameware locally. It claims formally resists the shock of open flame. Yes. So flameware is different than clay for bakeware. I'm sure you can use flameware for bakeware, but flameware can actually have a direct flame put upon it. Yeah, it's a really, really great clay. So we have our little slab all smoothed out. The candy corn are two of your favorite candies. These and candy corn and anything milk chocolate. Penny, I'm with you on the milk chocolate train. I love some milk chocolate. Absolutely. English toffee with almonds. Okay, but I digress. Let's move on. So we're going to use the GR Pottery Forms hearts. I have this set of 3. They're not stackable, which means if you stack them all up, you cannot make a bowl out of the 3. Like, you can't drape them into a bowl form. That's okay. There's other ways to get bowl forms, right? And if you wear a wheel thrower and you want to make a wheel thrown heart bowl, go check out my wheel thrown heart bowl class. That's up on ClayShare already. We did that last year. So you can go watch that and make a wheel thrown heart bowl. If you want to make a mug, I have a sweetheart mug class. So my mug folks, you need a heart mug, check that out. So we're going to go ahead and lay this down on the clay, and I'm going to cut my shape out now. And the great thing about these forms is we can use the form as a rim template to cut out our shape, and we can use the form as the shape we're going to drape on. So it's a twofer. Does the job of two things, which I really like it when that happens. How can I tell it froze? I will show you in a minute a block that froze. The clay splits apart. It like shreds apart. It's not a pretty sight. I will actually, and I was sad that this happened, and you will know if it froze because now your clay is not as nice as it once was. It happens. It happens. Once the new studio is built, this should not be an issue, but currently I'm working in, I wouldn't say primitive conditions, but definitely not, not what I would like. Let me show you what happens when your clay freezes. You guys want to see? I told you it was informal tonight, right? So let me just sit my slab over here and I'll grab the rest of the clay that it froze. And I think I've done videos showing what happens. Also, if you have a pug mill, you can put it through that and reclaim your clay. My pug mill is in an unheated space, so I cannot use it. This is heated technically here. All right, so here's my Tucker's Mid Smooth Stone Step that froze right here. And you'll notice your clay is incredibly sticky. When it freezes, it's super sticky, and go to the overhead. Do you see how the clay is kind of feathery looking and it's kind of coming apart a bit? Like right here. Do you see this? This is where it's separated. The water has gotten into the clay. It has frozen. It has pushed apart the clay particles and caused little fissures, kind of like ice. If we look at rocks and into geology and all that, you'll see how rock is split by water and ice when it freezes. So it looks kind of like this, and it's not great. So it's super sticky. You have to wedge it all back up. It can be used. Don't throw it away. You just got to work harder. That's all. My suggestion is, if your clay is someplace and you think it's going to freeze, move it to a place where it won't freeze. If it's unavoidable, then you're just going to be wedging, like me. You can join me in a wedging party. All right, so underglaze transfers, how long do they last? Well, I've had some for 4 or 5 years that I'm still using, and they're fine. I keep them sealed up in a plastic bag. Actually, let me get you a packet and show you. So here's a packet I was using the other day. I keep them in the plastic right here, and air doesn't get into them, and they're fine. And I put this usually lives in a bigger Ziploc bag. I just took it out because I was working with it. And as long as you keep them sealed up in plastic, and they live in a shelf in my studio, I don't have any problems. Okay, we got to get going. We got to make some pots. Can't talk all the time. All right, so I'm just smoothing this out again, since I bumped it a tiny bit. Now you're going to want to smooth your edges, because you're not going to be able to go back in and smooth the edges after you apply your decal, because the decal would smear. So we got to do it now. Now if you plan to paint a border on it in a opaque glaze or an underglaze even, then it's not that big of a deal. I got a little air pocket right there I got to take care of. So if you get those in your clay, don't worry. Just go ahead, pop it, fill it with more clay, and smooth it back out. And it'll be fine. All right, so we got the heart ready. Now, underglazed decals and transfers really like to go on clay that's wet, meaning just rolled out clay. Even a leather hard's okay too. That's its favorite is right now though. Its favorite level of dryness is right now. All right, so those of you who are really frugal like me, you're going to love what I do now, because we are going to cut out our decal sheet. Let's take this one here. I'm going to lay it down. I'm going to take our heart and we're going to lay it here. I'm going to go here, I think. And then I'm going to use a pencil. You could use a pen. It doesn't really matter. But standard pencils, we're not going to have issues with transference onto the clay. And then we're going to cut it out, so we're not wasting any of our decal paper. So you just follow it. And I mean, honestly, I'm probably not going to use the other section of this heart that I'm cutting out. So do I have to worry about that? No, not really, but it's all right. We're going to do it. So you've had problems with getting a good transfer with older transfers. If they dry out, it can be an issue. So keep that in mind when you're storing them. You don't want them to dry out. You can try rehydrating them with a little, when you put them on, you kind of spritz them a little more. I think someone commented about that. All right, this is all busy work when you're cutting out decals. You could do this ahead of time if you know you're making certain things, and you could do it in a space that doesn't have water, because if you get them wet, you're going to start to activate the decal and it will try to transfer on you. So keep that in mind when you're working. Do overglaze transfers last a long time? Yes. So overglaze transfers are a different creature. They don't really dry out. They don't have underglaze in them. So they're not in the same category as these. So you don't have to worry about them quite as much. Should I put it on my big tall? How's that? Is that too tall? Is it too tall? All right, so we've got our heart cut out of clay, and now we've got our hearts cut out from our decals. We're just going to line this up. And I'm just going to smooth it down with my hand gently to get it stuck on there a bit. And then I like to either use my red or yellow rib to smooth it out. It's really up to you which one you like best. And I just start in the center and just start pulling outwards. And you can see it smooth out the transfer so that we're not having any wrinkles in the design, because that's really what we want to avoid. Now, some of you were with me when we did our Halloween decals from Sanbao. Whenever they release seasonal designs, I always do a little tutorial with them. And I know some of you have seen this before, so this isn't new, but there might be folks joining us tonight for the first time, or folks that are struggling with using underglaze decals. So this should be really helpful, I hope, for them. You didn't realize conversation hearts were big. These are bigger than the real deal. Like the scale of conversation heart candies are usually smaller than these. So this was a little artistic license here with the sizing. You use a binder with sheet protectors for your decals. Right, and that's what I do with my laser decals that I make. I keep them in a binder. But a lot of my decals are really large sheets, and I found I just keep them folded up. But you know what? Keeping them in a binder, it's not a bad idea. All right, so I'm just going to pounce a little bit where the colored conversation hearts are because it's thicker. I could feel that the decal was thicker and stiffer, and I want to make sure that all the color transfers. So I'm just pouncing it on there. And really, it's kind of a waiting game at this point. You just keep waiting. Eventually, they will transfer. The moisture from the clay will pull the underglaze off the sheet. Now, you can put these on leather hard pieces. You can put them on bisqueware, and I have classes on all of that. We have a patchwork bowl class, or no, it's a patchwork mug maybe class we use. I think it's just called patchwork pottery, actually, where we use these on, I believe, bisqueware. We make a plate and we make a mug. These are going to be very cute. All right, pounced it on. So you had some Underglaze decals that were 7 years old and they were fine. Yeah, if you don't expose them to extreme temperatures and you keep them protected, I think they'll last. I love hearing people's storage solutions. You know, that's one of the things we're always looking for, new ideas and better ways to store. Let's check. It looks pretty good. I think we can go ahead and do a little peel and reveal. Now, if you start to peel it up and you notice that there's an area that didn't transfer, you can quickly lay it back down and continue pouncing. But you have to be careful. If you peel this up almost all the way and then you try to lay it back down, you might get your registration off, and so it might not line up correctly. So check it, see how it's doing. If it looks good, just hold your breath and go. That's my suggestion. And I forgot to pounce on the little hearts, so let's go ahead and get those. Now I could have put a layer of color down first and then put these on top. So if I wanted a background color, I could have done that. Now I'm just going to have a color of the clay, which is a white. All right, let's do it. Let's peel it. Here we go. Looking pretty good. So far, so good. Cute, right? Good. Yeah, so we got a nice transfer. That looks great. So you can kind of see the surface is a little shiny right now from the moisture, and you do not want to touch that, it'll smear. So we need to let that dry. If you want to work with your clay immediately, you can take and either shake a little cornstarch on with a shaker or pounce some on or brush some on. We're going to let it set for just a second, and we're going to make the other 3 slabs. We're going to prep those up. So this could dry a little bit on its own, but we're probably still going to go ahead and use that cornstarch. So let's get our rest of our clay and get the others ready. So I'll go ahead and do those quickly. So you got some 2-gallon heavy milliliter Ziploc bags. You put them in a barely damp box, and it works really well. Make sure not to get them wet. Yes. When buying Underglaze decals, do you recommend bigger or smaller sheets? It depends. Some designs, like I have some of mine, you can only get in smaller sizes. So when I can, I prefer to get them as big as possible, but sometimes it's not always easy to do, right? Sometimes we can't get them. And when that happens, just get multiples and get creative with your design. All right, so this is the next heart shape. And if you didn't want to use the form as a drape form, you just want to use it as a rim template, you could easily do that. And I've got another slab over here. Let's see if this one will work for that. Yeah, and so all the scrap clay that I end up with tonight, I just wedge it up and it will get rolled out when I roll out the rest of my clay tomorrow. You didn't think about color first. I know, sometimes we don't think about putting a background in. We did that when we did Halloween decals, and we've done it on, when did we do the other one? I can't honestly remember. We've done quite a few. You'll have to do a search on ClayShare for Sanbao Underglaze decals, and you'll probably find it. You'll find a few. All right, so let's go ahead and smooth our edge. We're going to do one with the pooty and one with the cupids and one with the hearts, the little hearts. We're going to do black or red. You guys got to tell me. So what's the best way to color your background if you don't want white? Underglaze. Yeah, so I will brush on a layer of underglaze first, and then I will go ahead and let it stiffen up, well, just dry, until it's no longer tacky and smeary, and then lay your underglaze decal on it, smooth it out, and you're good to go. But we've done it with different colors. We've swirled colors on. Got a little air bubble here. We'll take care of that. So this is one of the things to deal with if you have frozen clay and you wedge it up by hand. You know, there's always the chance for a few air bubbles when you're wedging a reclaim, but it's not the end of the world. You just smooth your clay out and go forward. All right, let's cut the other two decals out. So we're going to do the cupids, and we're going to use this one here. So I'm going to sit that on there. Let me grab a pen. So this is just one of my micron pens here that I keep in the studio. So if you're going to do a whole bunch of these, you could go ahead and trace out all of the shapes, and you could see how many fit. Like you could turn this way, and well, they'd be upside down. But if it was a design that didn't matter, you know, you could play with it a bit, see what happens. So we've got to cut this one out, and then we'll cut the next one out. So this is the kind of thing you could take the forms into your house in the evening. If you know you have a day planned for the studio and what you're going to do, and you have a bunch of underglaze decals, just bring them in, spread them out on your table, take a look at what you have for forms, take a look at what you have for decals, and match them up and make notes in a notebook. Okay, I'm going to make a heart plate with the cupids, and it's going to be the medium-sized heart that I'm going to use. Or I'm going to make some small trinket dishes with the hearts, and I'm going to use the black hearts. And you cut out all of your decals, and you'll have them all ready to go, so that when you're in your studio, you're not wasting that time. Some people have very limited studio days and studio hours, especially if your studio is not in your home and you have to drive. So planning ahead is really important so you can use your time wisely. Things like decal work I do a lot of in the house because I can do it in the evening, not worry about bringing clay materials inside. Okay, we'll put these away. And now we'll put them on the clay. Let's grab our board back out. So we got this one, and we have this one. We got the two here. We'll start with the little cupids, the little pooties. Is it funny for me to say that? I hear Kevin laughing every time I say it. So we'll let that one start to hydrate. This one's going to be very sweet. This is one that I think after I bisque fire it, I will clear glaze it and then mother of pearl, because it's got kind of a fanciness, I think, going on. This would be great for a candy dish. So those of you who want to make a little form for candy, I think that would be great. The conversation hearts would be great for candy too. Need this one. Doesn't really matter. You can use whichever one you want. You get the same decals plus lovebirds. Ooh, I didn't get the lovebirds. I don't do a lot of seasonal things. You know, when we did these from Sanbao, the Let It Snow mugs with the little snowy cabins, I bought, well, Kevin bought for me because I was teaching a whole bunch of them, and I haven't used any of them yet. So I have to be careful because I tend to overbuy thinking, oh, I'm going to get a chance to make those, and it'll be July before. But that's okay. In July, I can make some winter mugs. They'll just be ahead of the game, right? We'll be ready for the snow next time. So you use other heart forms to cut out decals for the bottom only. no sides. Right, and you could just put the decals on the inside here and not use it on the side at all. Yeah, and that's a great way to conserve decals. So if you're limited, right, you got a couple sheets and you want to make them go as far as possible, the other thing you can do if you do that is then the sides you could paint a solid color of underglaze or glaze, right, to kind of finish that edge off a bit. So there's the black ones. Let's go over here to our little pooties. I would like to see these with different color skin tones and different hair color, though. That would make me happy. Maybe next year I'll reach out to Dan. Alrighty. Here we go. You ready? Shall we start with the black hearts, the little one? We'll start here. This is probably really easy to do. It's not heavily saturated with color, so it's easy to transfer. So that one worked well. The underglaze print on the shiny side of the tissue, yes. So let's just talk about that for a second. When you look at the tissue, you see how this side isn't shiny. This is the dull side. When you open it up, you have one side that's brighter. You want to lay the brighter side face down onto your clay. I'm sorry if I didn't go over that. I think it shows more readily on the conversation hearts. Hold on, they're getting tied up. Watch out. See how bright this side is? See how this side's kind of dull? See the difference? So you want to put this is the side with the underglaze. This is printed. This is a screen print is what this is. So you want to lay this here directly on your clay. So face down. Thanks for asking that question because that was a good one. It was really good. All right, let's take a look-see, see if we've got enough time in this for the transfer to happen. Oh, this one's going to be good. Oh, it's good. This has a nice detail. It's very good. So the other thing you could do is you could go in and hand color parts of this if you wanted to add colors to it that aren't there already. So if the body of this little pootie, this little cupid, well, you wanted the skin tone a different color. Right now it's going to be the same color as my clay. So if I wanted a different tone, you could go in and hand color, and you could wait and do that in the glazing part after it's been bisque fired. And then the same with the black hearts. If you wanted to make them red on the inside, red and black, which would be really cool, you just wait till after you bisque fire it and you could do it. Got to be careful though, because the underglaze will still smear until it's fully glazed and set. It's possible to smear it around. Okay, let's move on. So the big heart, I'm going to go ahead and make it just a traditional plate. That's what we're going to do. And it is still a little bit tacky, so I'm going to grab my cornstarch out, and I just use this big like mop brush right here. It's a Royal Langnickel. It's probably a fancy brush, and I use it to, this is my cornstarch brush. It's a Royal Langnickel 1-inch Zen brush. Ooh, it sounds fancy, doesn't it? I should probably not use this for cornstarch, and I should probably get a inexpensive craft brush instead of a fancy one. And so we're just going to shake this on a little bit and then gently brush it on. And what this is going to do is it's going to set the underglaze so that it doesn't smear when we put this over the form. Now you could just let it set out for a while and it will dry on its own. The problem with that is the clay is drying too, and if the clay gets too dry, what will happen is it'll crack when we go to use it. Right? And this is just cornstarch, not clay dust, so don't worry, this isn't hazardous. I mean, I wouldn't like huff it, but it's not, it's okay. So if you sign up for notifications, Sanbao will let you know when they come out with new transfers. Penny, thank you for that. Yeah. Use a makeup brush from the dollar store for cornstarch. Diana, I need to take myself to the dollar store. All right, so we're just going to line this up. Looks pretty good. My magic spinning board. And we're going to flip it right over. Now you might have to reach up in here and peel down some of the clay a little bit because it's been sitting on this board for a while and it's really stuck. Let me grab my banding wheel. It's always best to have 2 hands available. So we'll set this down. And then I'm going to get down here and I'm just going to reach up here. And I don't think the camera can show, but I'm just doing this with my fingers as I pull down the clay off the board. There we go. Until it releases. Ta-da! Look how, see all the moisture that came out? That's on there? So it was definitely stuck. It was hanging out. All right, so this is going to make a really nice shallow dish form right here. If you wanted it to be deeper, we could have used the bigger one on the smaller form right here. So you could have used the large on the medium form and you would have gotten a bigger rim. I think we're going to do that with the pooty. I think we're going to use this, but I got one plan before we do that. So actually, no, we'll do that. I have something different in mind. We'll do that. So I'm just going to smooth this around the edge. I'm not really putting pressure here. I'm really putting it down here. If you put a lot of pressure right here where the edge meets the side, you can get cracking because it thins the clay. But again, I'm not really crushing. I'm just gently smoothing. And you could always use a sponge. When we get into these speckled clays or these dark groggy clays, I really like this white mud tool sponge. Some folks have mentioned cosmetic sponges work really well for this too. So if you cannot get a hold of these mud tool sponges, I just bought 2 more from Sheffield Pottery. They are $8 something each. So they're a little bit of an investment, but they're really nice. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp this. You keep your cornstarch in an old sock and shake it, right? That's a brilliant idea too. I'm just going to stamp this in the center. Just like that. Boop. Done. Signed. Signed, sealed, delivered. We're going to let this set for just a bit while we work on the others, and I'll flip this one out before we're done. Usually we have to wait. We're not going to have to wait on this one. We're not going to put a foot on it, that's why. All right, so there's that one. Let's grab the next one. So we're going to use this medium-sized cut-out form, right? We use this as our template. Now, if you're looking for rim templates that are heart-shaped, do you know a really great source for them? Valentine's candy. Go buy some boxes of candy. So here's the thing. You need to buy these boxes of chocolate, not because you need to eat the chocolate. I mean, you're going to have to. I'm sorry, you're going to have to eat the chocolate too. You're going to have to eat the chocolate. I know it's a hardship, but you're going to buy the candy so you can eat the chocolate because you're buying studio equipment. You're buying these boxes because you're going to use them in your studio. And it's all right. When you eat chocolate so that you can get the boxes to use in your studio, that chocolate has no calories. None. It's calorie-free chocolate. So, because you need those boxes, right? And now's a good time to do that. So if anybody's looking for some pottery rim templates, you can go get yourself some boxes of chocolate. Now, also what's really available right now, and I'm seeing a lot of them in hobby and craft stores and online, is doilies in heart shapes and placemats in heart shapes. And so you can use those as a rim template, and they also would serve as your texture. But you then wouldn't be able to use these cuties on there. The cutie pooties. So you all have my permission to go buy some chocolates. So how do you use the decal on only the flat area and not on the rims? So what you would do is you would cut out your decal, and when we place it, you would just line it up and place it in the center, that's all. So it would be the same as we did. You would just have to center it and place it down. And that can be a little tricky sometimes. Some folks do it the opposite way, where they make the plate first and they then cut the decal out and they put it down inside. And if they have overlap, you can always use Underglaze to hide the overlap. So we're going to use the smaller heart, and we use the bigger heart for our shape, for the outside, right? The rim template. And just line it up approximately even all the way around. And I'm going to grab a couple things. So you could just use some little wooden blocks if you have some as spacers, but GR Pottery Forms sells these too. And usually when I'm picking up forms, if I think about it, I try to grab a couple of these because they're really handy to use in the studio. And I'm just going to put 2 of them on here. So there's different schools of this, right? Because some folks, and I know Jeff does it this way, he flips it over, and then after he smooths it out, slides it onto these forms. I like to flip it on the form. I think we only need 1. Oh, you know what? I want 2. I'm going to flip it over, right? Sorry, I was not right. Give me this. And then we'll place everything on the banding wheel. You eat the chocolate is a write-off. The chocolate would be a write-off technically because it's studio supplies, right? So you could write that chocolate off. You needed to have that chocolate. And you know, I think that's valid with pretty much anything like that. All right, so we're just going to drape this down on the sides gently. So we're kind of making a deep dish. We're not making a flat piece. All right, now we're going to take our rib. We're just going to use this little red one, and I'm going to smooth off the bottom, and I'm going to smooth the sides. But here's the thing. I'm not going to wrap it around. I don't want to press in on the edge of the heart. I just want it to hold that angle, right? And that's it. We don't want to press in, because I don't want to create that line that sometimes happens with the GR Pottery Forms. Well, with any form, honestly, that's, you know, shallower than the clay you're draping. And we're just going to wrap that around. And we'll let this sit. I think we'll be able to flip this one out too. How are we on time? Oh, we're getting there. So we have a huge class next. No, it's not. It's a really cute, fun one. We're going to be making a lantern, a heart-themed lantern with sculpted bird. A little sculpted bird in a nest. It's super cute. And it was really fun to do it. You know, one of the things I like to do in my own practice, I like to spend more time doing sculpture, and I just haven't found a way to do it. The only way it's going to happen is if I make classes for you all. So I think that's what I'm just going to do, because I'm really wanting to find time to do sculpture. Okay, so this is going to set. We're just going to put it off to the side for a minute, just like the other one. We're going to flip them all out at the end. And then we've got one more to do, right? We've got this little guy right here, and we were talking about doing a candy dish, which we can do like a bowl, right? So if you have a Garrity anvil, you've seen me make things with that in the past. We use that as a form to drape over. And I also have classes where you can wheel throw or hand build your own drape mold. I have oval molds, I have circular molds, whatever shape you need, you can do it. We've got a bunch of mold making classes. So I love GR Pottery Forms, absolutely, and I use them all the time, but not everybody can get GR Pottery Forms, and not everybody has it in their budget. So I like to give options. Let me go grab one of my molds that I'm going to use to make a candy dish. So let me just come over here and grab it. I didn't think about it earlier. I would have grabbed it before we started tonight. Sorry. But here it is. This was a bowl. I threw this and I made it a mold. Easy peasy. I do have a class on how to make them, but you got this, right? You can also coil build them, and I have a class on that as well, so it's up to you. Take your clay, and really simple way to make a bowl. And we just drape this down, just like that. And then if you need to adjust it, we have to adjust it a little bit. You just scooch it to where you need it. and press with your hands. You can press it in. Now I like to use, and I don't think I have it here, a paint roller with a cloth cover on it. And I don't think I brought it with me. I think it's still in my other studio. So that's where my Garrity anvils are too. I know. I need to get those. They'll go on my list the next time I'm down there. But if you have a Garrity anvil, you can press this into foam. So you could do it like a pressed dish. Honestly, we could have used this and we could have pressed it in, right? You could have pressed with the form down into the foam. I mean, we could do it now. We could do it now. Let's do it now. Hold on. Why pass up a chance to do something like now, right? We could do it later, but why do it later? We could do it now. Sorry, my clay froze again. It's going to be a constant problem, I think. All right, so here you go. You put your clay on your foam, and then you press it down in, and you kind of roll it around a little bit, and that gets that rounded top. And then for our bottom, if you want to, you can put feet on this, which I'm going to put 3 little feet on. But if you don't want to put 3 feet, 4 feet, however many feet, a little foot ring, you can just do this, boop, and I've made a flat spot, and it will rest nice and flat on that spot. But we are going to make some tiny little feet. We're going to make 3 little feet. You can make 4 feet. You do however many feet you want to have. Up to you. So we've had this great workshop going with Billy Ritter. Last Saturday was part 1. Part 2 is coming up this Saturday. And I've seen some folks sharing what they've been making, and it's been so inspiring. The workshop's called One Piece at a Time, and it's a wheel throwing workshop. But we've had hand builders sign up, and they're loving it. And I'm really excited to see what everybody's going to make from this workshop. I'm going to be making my pieces on Friday for the workshop to make along. So not for a few more days, but anybody out there who's missed part 1, you can still sign up for the workshop. Premium members always save 20% off on all of our workshops, and you get our workshops forever. So even if you're no longer a member, you still get access to that workshop, which is pretty awesome. And you can work at your own pace. So you can sign up, and if you missed the live on Saturday, that's okay. You can catch the replay and join us this Saturday. So that's an exciting thing we got going on. So I just cut 3 equal pieces of clay from a coil. I quickly rolled. And now I'm going to roll them into little balls. And they're about the same size, which is what we want. Oh, I got other ClayShare news. Today's the deadline to enter in the exhibition that's coming up called Fired On from Saratoga Clay Arts. That's saratogaclayarts.org. You have to check them out. I'm the juror. So it's anything that uses decals and transfers and silk screens and all that. Everything we've been talking about lately here on ClayShare. So you got tonight, babies. Go sign up. Go do it. Don't miss. Don't miss out. I'll be at the opening May 6th. So go. That's your project tonight. Sign up for that. All right, so I'm going to slip and score. I didn't know if I was going to get through the night without slip and scoring, and I'm not. I'm gonna. So we've got our 3 little foots, right? And I'm just going to tap, 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 flatten them, and place them. Now, you can keep them round. Oh, they're kind of cute round. You can make little cylinders from them, whatever you like, right? It's up to you. I want to get them kind of evenly spaced if I can. Now, sometimes I pinch them, and I do a little pinch shape. I'm sort of thinking of keeping the ball look, though. I kind of like it. And the great thing about a banding wheel is it lets you have a little bit of, is this what I want to do? No, is this what I want to do? Is that what I want to do? So you can have some moments of indecisiveness. I think there. We'll stick that on, slip and score. And then we're going to level these feet just like we would have leveled the bottom with that same board. And then you just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle until you feel them stick. And you'll feel it happen. It'll kind of grab it. The clay will grab the little balls. And then they won't move anymore. Now I'm going to stamp inside here. My signature stamp right there. If you're worried that you have too much moisture on there, which can be a concern, right? Just go ahead and take a craft brush, a damp one. Got one right here. And then you just use this to wipe up any excess slip or moisture that's squeezing out, because that's where you're most likely to get cracks. And some clays are much more forgiving than others, but porcelainous clays like B-mixes and porcelain itself, you have excess moisture, it's going to crack on you. Things that are groggy and sandy, they're much more forgiving. Okay, now let's go ahead and we're just going to set this on here. I get down and I just level it. And you could actually put a level on this if you wanted to. Okay, are you ready to flip things over? We wait for this one. That one comes last because he was the last made. Put heart feet on it. That would have been crazy cute. Yes. So you all need things to do, right? So make one and put heart feet on yours. I want to see you guys do that, right? So that's a little project for you all. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to pull this. Look what we're making next. Oh, so cute. So cute. All right, I'm going to put them off to the side. More stuff to talk about. Did you miss the discussion on laser decals last week and we talked about it Monday morning? Just reminding folks out there. Don't want you to miss out on anything we've been working on. All right, let's flip this over. We're just going to put the board on it, flip, ta-da, and then lift up. And there we have our super cute plate. If you want to ruffle the rim, you can. You know, add a little ruffle to it. I'm just going to smooth it out. Once this has stiffened up to leather hard, you could go ahead if you wanted to take a bit of underglaze and paint that on the rim so you have a solid band of color all the way around. That's up to you. You know, you could also do it with glaze, which is probably what I'm going to do. So I want to adjust that. There we go. So there's one. Easy. That's a good sized one. So if you're making any cookies for Valentine's Day, this would be a nice size plate for cookies. And then we have the one we made. Now normally the one that I had on the two little spacers, I would let sit a little bit longer because it's got those taller sides and it needs a little more time. If it gets floppy, just put it right back in. So see how we now have a little bit of a deeper, and then I'm just going to bring this to more of a point on the end. So you can see the difference between the two. This one has about 3/4 of an inch of a rim. This one has about 1.5 inches of a rim. So we get a little bit bigger rim with that one. And then the last one, which is this little guy right here, let's go ahead and flip him out. And so I just got this little board. We'll flip them over, lift it off, and we actually have a bowl, a true bowl, right? Nice bowl shape in there. And it would be a perfect place to keep any of your candy. Once this is set up a little bit, because it's still very, very soft, I'll take a damp sponge and I'll smooth the rim just to get it nice and even. And then that's it. It's done. So you got 3 different plates you can make. This one here is calling out for me to ruffle the rim. So I think we're going to quickly do that. We got a couple minutes. We got like 2 minutes. I can do it. I got 5 minutes. I like extra minutes. Thank you. I'll take those 5 minutes. All right, let me move my cute little lantern that we're making next out of the way, and we'll ruffle this. Super adorable little dishes, right? You're going to dig out your underglaze transfers. Good, good, good. Yes. I mean, you should always be using up your underglaze decals. Think of projects that you can do to use them. So we're just going to do a little ruffle rim all the way around. And you can ruffle from the outside in. You can ruffle from the inside out. It doesn't really matter. It's what you like best. But do you see I'm just basically pinching the clay over my finger. And if you've ever made a spout, this is kind of the same thing as making a spout. We'll do one there on that side. We'll do one on this side. Sometimes I go back and I do the other side, you know, because I like my ruffles to be pronounced. But not everybody wants ruffles. So you could have left it straight. It was up to you. This is where we have the Bob Ross moment, right? Because it's your world. You get to decide what happens with your happy little trees and clouds and things. This is your happy little ruffle moment. See? So I'm just going back and pinching a little more to make sure that. You got a good question. I love good questions.
Underglaze decals can be used on bakeware.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. Yep. You can use underglaze decals on bakeware. Yep, because they go under the glaze, they're fine. They're going to be under there. They're not going anywhere at all. All right, so here we have a ruffles ridged, like ruffles. Making ruffles on pottery is like eating potato chips. You can't just make one or eat one, right? So 3 different plates. Super fun. All right. Any other questions before we head out? But underglaze can go on bakeware. Yes, yes, yes. So, Patty, your messages. I'm seeing your messages with your name though. All right. Good. Good, good. Yeah, your name doesn't show for you. It shows for everybody else. That's why. So we made the large plate just with a flat rim. I mean, this would be a great, if you used bakeware clay, you could put this on. You could make a, yes, exactly, a giant chocolate chip cookie. You fill this with cookie dough and bake it. I need to do that now. Thank you for that suggestion, Kevin. Thank you. We're going to have to make a giant chocolate chip cookie because right now, no, the pan's not ready. Tucker's Mid-Smooth Stone Speck isn't really a bakeware clay. It's a smooth clay with specks. Can you make bakeware with it? You can make bakeware with any clay, as I mentioned earlier, but there are clays that are better served by using them for bakeware. So something with grog or sand. So I think number 66 would be a good clay for bakeware if you're looking for a light colored clay. All right, there we have it. Okay, premium members. We are going to be making this next right here. And I'll be sharing some ClayShare Con news. We'll be talking more about the giveaway of the kiln and the giveaway of the wheel that's coming up. And maybe I'll tell you a little about some of the presenters that are going to be joining us for this year's ClayShare Con. Of course, everybody can watch ClayShare Con and everybody can win, but, you know, I like to share the details with my premium members first. They get the heads up, so. All right, make muffin pans, folks. If you haven't done this yet, go check out the class on ClayShare. If you're not a member, sign up. We have a free 7-day trial, so you could sign up for the free trial. Make the muffin pans. There's thousands of other classes on there, so you can check them all out. And in a week, you will not get through them all, I promise. I have been filming classes we're in our 6th year now, and doing live broadcasts every week. So a week, you're not going to be able to do them all. I challenge you to try, though, because there's so much on there. All right, that's what I got to share with you. Take care, be well, and I'll catch you all next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.